Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bitcoin pre-halving live stream. And we got a lot of things to cover, so let's just get right into it. First of all, I'm not going to stream all the way into the halving. If you want to find that, there is about 30,000 people doing that today. I'll be jumping in between different live streams and Twitter spaces and things like that. Should be an interesting time. But for me, I just wanted to just go over some basic information and then talk about dollar cost averaging after the Bitcoin halving. Is it really worth it? And we're going to take a look at some data, which really looks like it isn't unless you do this one thing. So this is what we got right now in beautiful Puerto Rico. It's 3:17 p.m. same Eastern time, 3:17, and we got around 5 hours and 40 minutes or so before the halving comes down. So we'll answer, of course, what it is. I think most of us already know that, but as people come in, I sometimes forget that there are new people here, so maybe they're not well versed about what's happening. I just had a question from my friend last week, and he asked me, he goes, "Hey, I understand that half of your Bitcoin's going to disappear. It's going to suck for you." And I'm like, "Well, that's not what it is, but I mean, that's a good try." So real quick, the Bitcoin halving, and this was, of course, put together by Satoshi Nakamoto, who no one really knows who that is, or him, or her, or they. White paper in 2008. And then 2009 with the Genesis block, and we had our first halving, which is essentially what the Bitcoin miners are mining using computational power to solve mathematical equations, and they are rewarded every 10 minutes with X amount of Bitcoin. 2009, that was 50, then we had a halving in 25. So the miners are the one that are really, getting the shaft essentially. And then 2016, that dropped by half, 12.5, 2020, 6.25, and now in, like I said, 5 hours or so, they're going to go from 6.25 to 3.125. Great news. Bitcoin's almost at its all-time high. So don't worry about the miners too much. And if we take a look, there's a great website called Look Into Bitcoin. And I like all the different things they have. There is a link in the description where you can find all this information. Again, it's free. Great information. And it goes over everything from multiple and MVRVZ scores, and then it breaks it down by miner and miner on-chain data. So we can see here that the Bitcoin miner revenue over time, of course, has dropped a little bit. But again, that's the revenue of what is actually being produced as far as Bitcoin. Now, back in 2010, you had a Bitcoin at a couple quarters. So not a big deal if you're mining 7,000, 8,000 a day, right? But of course, as time has gone on, that Bitcoin price, we were at 73,000 just 2-3 weeks ago. Now I think we're around 65, 66,000. So miners are going to be okay, but of course it goes into half. So it's amazing to me. You're doing the exact same work. You have the exact same overhead or more, but you're getting half of the actual assets out. Again, thanks God, it actually appreciates. Now we take a look at miner revenue, because people ask this question. They're like, well, why would miners even do this? Even if the price of Bitcoin goes up, what if it doesn't go up? What if something happens and we're in World War III and people are totally risk off? Because I know people will say, well, they're just going to get a Bitcoin. Maybe not. So remember, there's two different ways that miners are paid. It's the rewards in Bitcoin, and the fees are the cost per transaction. So we can see right here, again, you can break this down, miner revenue, fees versus rewards. We can see that the bulk, yes, is miner rewards at 96%, and the fees are 4%, sometimes even higher than that. And I think with the advent of ordinals and things coming down, you can see that it will change. Essentially NFTs and Bitcoin, that will change a little bit as time goes on, especially with what's coming together with runes. And I think that's going to be a very big thing. Maximalists, Bitcoin maximalists absolutely hate it, but they're going to have to deal with it. And of course, I think Bitcoin miners, I think it was even Peter Thiel, not the investor, but the head of Mara Bitcoin mining said, in February or January or February, we saw a couple of days where, of course, the fees were more than the rewards just from the ordinals. So I can see where this could actually play into effect. And again, don't worry about the miners. They're going to be just fine. And if you're wondering, you're like, well, what are runes and what are ordinals and what about UTXO, unspent transaction outputs and things like that? I did a video. It's like 5 minutes long. I linked in the description so you can figure out what I think is the next big thing that's coming for Bitcoin, and it's really going to change everything forever. So it would behoove you maybe to check that video out. Again, it's very short, again, about 5 minutes or so check that out. But then another big question that comes into it is they say, well, Rob, what about, miners selling? because that's one of the big sell pressures are from miners, because you have to keep the lights on. This is from Crypto Quant, and in all actuality, you can see that as far as miner outflow, and they've labeled it as the last 3 Bitcoin halving pieces. And you can see that in the last one, in 2016 or so, there was a rally of major sell or miner outflow. And that doesn't mean that they sold it, but if you have a wallet and you move it and you don't really do anything until it goes to the exchanges, usually you're going to sell something like that, right? So you can see that we rallied into the halving. They were selling because they had to upgrade their Bitcoin mining operation, whatever that actually entailed. And then it just kind of fell off, right? And then, of course, we come over here to the, this will be the 3rd halving, and we're looking at 2012. I think it was May 11th or May 12th. And we can see that there was a little bit of selling beforehand. It leveled off. And then, of course, it comes up, and then they sold a bunch, and then it just kind of levels off. And now we've seen since 2022, which I got to tell you, if I was a miner, I would probably try to time this a little bit better as far as selling. I don't want to sell in November 2022 when Bitcoin was 15,000 at the all-time lows. What I'd like to do is kind of sell, I don't know, maybe when we're hitting the all-time highs, and maybe in November 2021 or maybe in 2025 when it comes about. But you can see that, yes, there's been a little bit more sell pressure coming in 2024, but it's leveled off as far as January. Of course, the Bitcoin halving, with the Bitcoin ETFs, everybody was ecstatic. But and everybody was saying it was going to go up exponentially, but it never works like that. That's just how it actually goes. And then lastly, like I say, don't worry about the miners. This is the hash rate. And of course, the difficulty adjustment is changed every 2 weeks, or it is evaluated every 2 weeks. So even if miners capitulate and they drop off the network, that just means that, the difficulty rate's not so bad. Great. We're going to actually come in here and we're going to use the miners that we have because we sold Bitcoin before. We're going to keep ourselves afloat until things become profitable. And you can see that it's happened over the last decade plus, as of course the Bitcoin hash rate keeps going up, because there's miners who will say, hey, there's money to be made. I'm going to stick around. I'm going to do it. Again, don't worry too much about the miners. So that would lead me to my last piece. Well, before we go over some other good news, which is this, and it really is why it was something that I was thinking about today in the morning, which was, if we take a look at data as time has gone on, is this a good time to really continue to dollar cost average Bitcoin and or alts post-halving? I'm just going to preface it with this. I am not a financial advisor. I can't tell you what to do. So the things that I'm going to talk about are things that are important to me, and maybe this would actually include something that you could get behind. Again, it all depends on you. And again, there's also a thing called risk versus reward. Where do you want to put your money? Where do you think things are going to actually grow? Do you think this could be in precious metals? Do you think this could be in equities? Do you think this could be in real estate? Or do you think that the majority of the gains could come into crypto and it is going to be into some crazy meme coin or into Bitcoin? So again, when we're going over these things, just remember, this is the things that actually work for me, and this is what makes sense for me moving forward, might for you. So we take a look at this, and I was thinking to myself, well, let's just go back in time, because we can't go back. We can't go in the future. I'm not a soothsayer. I don't have a crystal ball. So I was going to take a look at is the years between 2018 to 2022. And I want to take a look at 3 things. First of all, let's just say that you dollar cost average from the last cycle, right? Because we all know this, the 4-year cycles. I still believe in them. We have a halving. And we have next year's the all-time high, the dip, and a reset. Having all-time high dip reset, having all-time high dip reset. Keeps happening. So let's just say for the last one that you started to dollar cost average on January 1st, 2018. The peak of the altcoins, the whole crypto market was around December 17th, 2017. Things dropped off in January. I wanted to include the whole month because actually Ethereum actually hit its all-time high in January 2018. So I thought, okay, this could be a good point, not to start at the absolute bottom, but just to see how it goes, because this is what we've all been doing, most of us, right? And I think when you watch this, you're going to think to yourself, okay, I've done the hard work, which you have in the bear market. That's when all the gains are made, is in the bear market. Now, all you got to do is at some point, maybe take some profits in the bull market. So let's say you go from 2018 and you dollar cost average $10 a day. Okay, $10 a day. And you go all the way to 2021. What would your gains look like? And what I use is, I use Ben's website, the CRYPTOVERSE, and this part is free, the DCA equal amount. You can sign up for that, get it free, and go over the same data. And if you take a look at it, if you would have gone from January 1st, 2018, and you would have stopped on November 30, 2020, remember, our all-time high peak for the entire crypto market was roughly November 7th, 8th, 9th, 2021. Let's just say you stopped on November 30th. And I pulled the data from November 9th, 2021. So you were dollar cost averaging quite a bit. Where would you be in Bitcoin? Well, again, you did what you were supposed to do. You dollar cost average in the bear market, you would be up 645%. You would have invested $14,000. And for Bitcoin, you'd have 105,000. Congratulations. Really good. Now with alts, a little bit riskier, but with ETH, you would have had 236,000. With Cardano, 376,000. With Chainlink, 526,000. Solana, 595,000. Matic, 698. And the king of memes, Dogecoin, you'd have invested 14,000 and you would have had $1 million back. Not too bad. And then some would have underperformed. Stacks, Atom, AVAX, Near, because they're kind of new. Injectable and IMX, Immutable X. You wouldn't have done so great. But when we take a look at this, you're like, well, that's easy. Why don't I just go into alts? Because Rob is just telling me that, Bitcoin only did such percentage up. Why don't I just go into alts? Well, you can, but guess what? Here's the historical snapshot taken from CoinMarketCap. And you can see this is from 14th of January, 2018. Do you recognize some of these? Or excuse me, do you recognize all of these? I recognize Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Bitcoin Cash, Cardano, Litecoin. Most of this stuff I only know about because I've been around since 2017. Most of you don't know this stuff. NEM, Stellar, yeah, probably so. Neo, IOTA, EOS, only Birdie knows that one. Dash, Monero, Tron, Bitcoin Gold, Ethereum Classic, Icon, Qtum, and there's a slew of stuff on number 19 to 50, which makes absolutely no sense. So all the things I just talked about, do you see me, was Doge in there in the top 20? Was Matic, was Solana, was Chainlink, Cardano was, ETH was Stacks, Atom, AVAX, Near. Were they there? No, they weren't there. And that's why it's risk versus reward. So when I talk about these things, I'm trying to kind of focus a little bit more on Bitcoin. So that was great, right? Great, Rob. We just went through a nice recap. Let's move forward. Let's say that you just dollar cost average in the bear market and you stopped at the halving. You did not buy anything else after the halving. How would you have done, historically speaking? Pretty good, quite honestly. Actually, you would have done better. If you just would have stopped buying your Bitcoin, you would have been up 817%. Now, of course, you didn't put as much in, and you have 79,000, but the return is like 200% higher just by stopping. Solana, ETH, ADA, Matic, Doge, well, okay, you got me on Doge. But if you just stopped after the halving, you'd have been just fine. And it's because all the hard work, when everybody was telling you were a moron, which is where really toughest part is, you would have been just fine, just not dollar cost averaging after the halving. Go, look, I did the hard stuff. That's it. Now let's take a look at this. What if you said, you know what? I just couldn't do it in the bear market. I just couldn't do it. Now the halving's here. I hear a lot of things about, there is scarcity. Now we're only having half of the Bitcoin that's out there. And there's rumblings of a country using Bitcoin. There's rumblings of major institutions coming in. This thing called MicroStrategy. I don't know. You're like, okay, what if you dollar cost average from May 2020 to the peak of November 2021? Essentially what we're talking about now. You'd have been done, you would have done fine. I mean, let's be honest, you would have beat the S&P 500. But you wouldn't have done too great. Look at these numbers. For Bitcoin, you're only up 200%. 200%. Let's go back here. If you would have done from January 2018 and stopped at the halving, your Bitcoin, you would have been up 817% at the all-time high. Again, if you would have gone from 2018 January all the way to the all-time high, you'd only be up 645%. So the best way you could have done things in the past, I'm not saying it's going to do that, is just stop right after the halving. And that's it. So for here, you wouldn't do so great at all. I mean, it's not that much time. Near Atom Stacks, you're up 500%. AVAX 600%. And you're still doing great, let's be honest. ETH 600%, ADA 940%, Doge 4090 Matic. Solana, you would have crushed it. $500,000. Pretty good. But again, it just really does just come down to as far as like the percentages and how much you're up overall. And you can see that with Bitcoin, 200%, still pretty good. But it makes you think about, you know, maybe I should get into something that's might a little bit risky. Maybe I don't want to because a 2x is great. Or maybe I just stop because I don't want to get off the merry-go-round. I'm just telling you. Now let's take a look at this one. And this is where I think the bad rap for crypto comes from. When we go through this next cycle, and after we get to this blow off top, whether it be left translated cycle like Bob Lucas talks about, or whether that be into 2025 like a lot of different traders and investors are talking about as well, or I hate saying this word, or we go in a super cycle. Yeah, I don't think that's happening, but whatever it is, this is where the majority of the people are going to get stuck. And this is where you have to be, probably some of you actually fell victim to this, which is, let's just say that you got in during the peak of the bull market, or around the peak between the April first top and the second top in November. And you got in October of 2021 and you lasted 6 to 8 months because you're just like, there's no money in this. Crypto's a scam. Bitcoin's a scam. Everything's a scam. I keep getting the money taken away from me. You guys are liars. Where would you be? This is where you're going to be. And this is where we're going to have to deal with people coming in. They're going to be down majorly because they're going to get into the peak. And this is what screws everything up. And this is why I'm stepping down from this channel at the peak of the bull market, because nobody needs me in the bull. They need me. I think they need channels when they're down like this much and going, hey, you're down and that's awful, but this is where all the money's made. And this is what it is. So when I take a look at this data points, I'm like, why? For me, it doesn't make any sense to keep dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin. It doesn't. A 2x is not what I'm here for. I mean, I don't roll out of bed for that. I've done all the hard work. When everybody was saying, stop dollar cost averaging in the bear market, that's when all the money's made. And I would have stopped there if it wasn't for this last piece. Oops. Dynamic DCAing. And I thought to myself, okay, let's take a look at the last period. And let's go from the halving point, May 12, 2020, and if we would have dynamic DCA'd to November 30th, 2021, how would I have done? First of all, as a fresh little recap, dynamic DCAing is not DCAing every day or every week. What it is time and risk bands. And it's very simple. And this is why I like Ben's website so much, because the time and risk bands are there. And what you do is, because right now we're at 0.6, I think we're at 0.65 as far as risk band, which is right here where it says no with a bunch of those. So you don't buy at 0.4 to 0.5. You don't buy at 0.5 to 0. You don't buy at 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9. You're thinking about selling over here. You don't do squat until there's a massive, not a massive, but there's a pullback and it goes to 0.3 to 0.4. Then you say, you know what? Time to back up the truck. And then when it goes even lower, you say, and this goes contrary to what most people will talk about as far as investing. When the price goes lower, you're like, I'm going to put double in. And then when it goes in this wristband, I'm going to quadruple. And then when it goes into this wristband, you 6x. If you would have done that, and you can go to the website and do this dynamic DCA. Well, that's a paid part, sorry. This dynamic DCA, if you would have done that, again, from the time frame of the last halving to the peak, you'd be at 561%. So if you would have done the other way and just said, dollar cost average, $10 a day, whatever, you're up 200%. 200% versus 561%. 213.3%. versus 561%. And it's a lot less stress. You're just like, prices are dropping. And then I put this little picture up here because these are like the little announcements on my phone where it says, hey, Bitcoin risk is 0.62 at 61,000. You're in the 0.6 band. I'm like, oh, okay, don't do nothing. And when I get alerts for like 0.3 to 0.4, 0.20, I'm like, oh, that's right. I got to start buying because its price is really dropping. I mean, I'll probably be aware of that, beforehand, but I'm just saying. So that's it in a nutshell. You can, for me, doesn't make sense to dollar cost average like I've been doing. Now it only makes sense to dynamic DCA. I probably would have done much better if I just would have dynamic DCA, but that's a whole nother video. And again, if you're looking for Ben's site, links in the description. That light plan is free. The one we went over. The one, the time and wristbands, there's a sale going on and it's going on until the halving. I think it stops tomorrow. So it's like $39 a month instead of like 49 or 129. So I leave it up to you. That's just what I see. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section. And then also, just a couple of good points. This is positive, I think. The USDT, or the Tether Treasury, just minted another, $1 billion roughly. And every time this happens, we start to see a little spike in price action. Also, I tweeted this out today. Israel carried out a strike against Iran. I guess that was like last night. I woke up and I was sleeping. I'm like, oh, this is big news. But apparently it wasn't, because it was like we saw a dip yesterday, as everybody told me what a moron I am because it happened 6 hours ago. Sorry, I'm not a robot. I don't stay up all night. But then I saw this. This was good, I felt. Tehran plays down reported Israel attack, signals no retaliation. So, hey, maybe World War III is avoided. We'll see what happens. That's good. Also, I thought this was interesting. The IMF, the International Monetary Fund, says I did not see this coming. It was not on my bingo card. Says Bitcoin has become a necessary financial tool for preserving wealth amid financial instability. Well, that would be good for all the people who think that Bitcoin is unnecessary and it has no value and it's worthless and just buy gold. Take that. So first of all, this is the same IMF. They give out loans, monetary policy globally. They have 190 different countries that they service. They're the same IMF that wanted El Salvador to choose between Bitcoin and a bailout. Pretty much said, if you choose Bitcoin, we're not going to help you. Well, oh yeah, that happened 2 years ago. They chose Bitcoin, and now they're going to get a massive loan from the IMF, and they're going to be using Bitcoin. So, whatever. And then, of course, the IMF, 190 member countries, they provide policy advice to help stabilize economies, policy advice, financial assistance, capacity development. And it's pretty much run by some of the big countries that are out there. I think one of the governors is Janet Yellen from the U.S. Secretary Treasury, and a couple other different major countries, which pretty much take a look and essentially squeeze people for their loans. But this is what they said, just real quick. The report was called A Primer on Bitcoin Cross-Border Flows, sheds lights on how the decentralized nature of Bitcoin is being leveraged to bypass traditional banking systems, especially in regions experiencing economic distress. The report highlighted significant transaction volumes, countries like Argentina and Venezuela, where citizens face hyperinflation. In these regions, Bitcoin has become a necessary financial tool for preserving wealth and assessing global markets. And this was from the report author, Eugenio Corruti. Nailed it. Bitcoin transactions provide a way for individuals in high inflation countries to stabilize their savings and participate in global commerce on terms that aren't possible through their local currencies. So that's a win for us. And of course, there's some, they talk about the risks like money laundering and cross-border payments and stuff like that. And it gets kind of boring. But again, the big win for us, if the IMF is coming out and saying, hey, Bitcoin has value, I'd like the other people to dispute that and come to this article so they can stop yapping and talking nonsense, and you know who you are. It just makes no sense to me. It irritates me to no end. I don't understand why this happens. So let me know what you think about that in the comment section. And then lastly, it's not how much you make, folks. It's how much you keep. And I cannot say that enough. This was from Ashni. And there was a Trojan attack through Coinbase. No, Coinbase didn't do it. But here's what it was. She took a call from somebody because she is some type of KOL influencer type of thing. And she looked at all the information, it looked good. They had a great website. They had something on LinkedIn. They had a gold check mark on X. And she talked to them, not face to face, but through a Zoom meeting. Everything looked good. And for some reason, they said, hey, we need you to download some of our software so we can evaluate it. She did it. And then she lost 25% of everything on Coinbase. First of all, let's be honest. Really? You're going to download something from somebody who this doesn't make any sense. I can kind of see it. I can, because, you know, like you're wrapped in things you don't really know. So first of all, don't download anything. And second of all, unless you're like a KOL or influencers and work in this situation, I can understand it, but you're not. So don't do anything goofy like that. And the third thing is this. What are the rules that we've always talked about here? You know, we've talked about these rules, and these rules are right there. It's all gone. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. Everything's a scam until proven otherwise. Don't leave anything on exchanges. Don't use leverage and take profits along the way, right? We all know these things. So don't do that. That's the big thing. One of the things I want to remind everybody is that don't leave things on exchanges. I'm guilty of this. I buy things on Coinbase. I leave them there for like a week, sometimes 10 days, but you got to take them off. Grab yourself a Tangent or get a junky ledger. I don't care. Or a Tracer or whatever else, but it's cold storage wallets. They're very easy to use. And this is the easiest. This is my preferred one. I use them for essentially 35 to 45% of my entire crypto are on these cold storage devices. So there's a link in the description. You can get it for 10% off. And I go over the pros and cons of everything. You can find that video again in the description from there. And then also, and lastly, I just want to give a shout out to a friend of the show, Tony Edwards, who does a fantastic job day in and day out talking to politicians, thought leaders, people in the crypto community. And he's got a book out. I just ordered it from Amazon. It's 18 bucks and it's good. I mean, it looks good. And what he talks about in this book, why FTX was not the ethos of crypto, regulatory battles, SEC versus Ripple, Grayscale versus SEC, Operation Choke Point 2.0, what the future of crypto looks like, tokenization, token economy, the do's and don'ts, and why I believe the American dream can be saved with crypto and blockchain tech. We'll see. So there's a link in the description for Tony's book. I ordered it myself, 18 bucks. Check that out. And that's it for today. So that's it. Not too bad. 27 minutes. So everybody, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. I'm going to talk about is time sensitive. Now that we're at the halving, hey, just take it easy. You did all the hard work already, right? You did all the things that you had to do in the bear market. You bought when everybody's making fun of you. You bought when your significant other told you were a moron. Congratulations. You're probably going to be rich. That's it. So if you want to take off. Enjoy the halving parties tonight. I'll probably stop by in some things. And now let's go over a little Q&A. If you got to take off. But thanks so much, everybody. Alex, thumbs up. Hold on. Got the, there we go. There we are. The ice cream truck comes around. Ah, thank you, Tesla. Made somebody laugh today. Feeling pretty good. Crap, going crazy. Thoughts on Promethean. Don't know what it is. Probably do great in a bull market. Nas says the Dominican Republic was great. I got to go over there myself. I heard it's very inexpensive for real estate. Looking to take a look at that place. And then 8 Point says the fees to send both there and back again. Here's a trick. If you're doing anything, like if you have USDC and a couple different ones and you're using Coinbase, like for USDC, did you know you can choose Arbitrum? You can choose Base, you can choose a host of different L2s, and like the cost to transfer a lot of these stables is like nothing. So instead of like $6-7, it's like 2 cents, 3 cents, which is what the Degen upgrade was supposed to be for Ethereum. So yeah, on that situation, yeah, there's other ways to put things on layer 2s. I wish it was easier, I know. And then some people will say, well, Rob, I got $10 in Ethereum. You told me to take it off all the time, and the fees are $7. Again, this is why I can't give individual advice to people, because I don't know your situation. So if that's the case, don't do that. Roger, love your channel, learn to learn. Great. Starting 2015. Wow. Screwed up over and over till you now. Hey man, Doesn't matter where you start, it's where you finish. That's all that matters. So I'm glad you're here. 60% off of, ooh, 6% off hardware wallets on sale today. It's pretty big. Like from Grand Cayman, that's where you want to go. Grand Cayman Islands. What's your mother's maiden name? Larson. Just kidding. Let's see. Pose the fiat halving, which is bad news. I think so. Now, what did I miss over here? Maybe you could write a book, Rob. No, but I mean, just curious to see what Tony's book's all about. I think that's just fine. I think you guys know my thoughts on most things anyhow. Rob, do you think ETH will take off after the halving? You know, if it wasn't for these L2s, I'd say no. Ethereum's dead in the water. But with L2s to make transactions actually work, I think you do pretty well. And especially with Base being behind it, you can't discount that. So we'll see. But again, I'm hedging my bet, and I think that there's a lot of action for side chains and L2s on Bitcoin. Just did a video on Core Network, which is a side chain L1 essentially for Bitcoin, and why I think it could change things. Yeah. Mina says, Rob, thoughts on Solana? Where Sol will get by 2024. I had a meeting last night with some of the Solana meme coin kings, essentially, and Steven was there from San Juan Smokehouse, and he really loves Solana. I mean, they all love Solana, and they all said to me the same thing, which was this: Solana's great, but we found out that there's some things that need to be done before we can truly scale, and we just saw that with the slowdowns and everything else. There was a trick though that I learned about as far as like with node operations. Did you know that when you're using Solana and you're in, say, like your Phantom wallet or any kind of wallet that you're using, or a DEX, there's a way to choose the actual node operation or the node that you want to pick to go through transactions, and it can actually speed things up exponentially. So I'll do a video on that at some point. Alan told me about that one. It's pretty interesting. But they all said the same thing. They go, yeah, when Fire Dancer comes off, it'll be a big thing. And let's hope it works out pretty well. I think Solana is going to do just fine. We'll see. We will see. What? That's weird. What do you think of OR? Proof of work on Solana. Don't know what it is. Probably do great. I got to find out what that is. That's interesting. Okay. Mohammed said, hey, Rob, remember me? My asset transfer from my Trust wallet. Said it to UNX and make to do it again right now. And I'll try to send it to Zach XBT. But remember, Zach can only figure out, who, if he even answers, who could actually do this. But to get things back, it's very difficult. That's the problem. Mohammed here, he lost, I want to say his entire life savings, or a big chunk of that, in a I want to say it was a hot wallet, Mohammed. Correct me when I'm wrong. And he got hacked and he lost everything. And in these situations, that's the beauty and the downfall of blockchain technology. Even though we have it, there is no centralized authority to call to bring these things back, unless you're Tether. Then you can just, freeze accounts, or USDC, sorry. So yeah, Savage Viking. What is this having? It's just when the output of Bitcoin's by half. That's all. So the miners, they do their mining operation, and then one day it's 6.25, and next day it's 3.125. Essentially, you're getting half of the assets for the same amount of work. It has nothing to do with us. It's just the miners. Let's see. Florida, very nice. $1,435 SOL. Let's see. Mohammed says, Yusuf, what is after the halving? Usually after the halving is all-time highs. So we'll see. Well, we already hit an all-time high for Bitcoin. So, but there's some things that still haven't hit their all-time highs. There is one, though, that was quite interesting. I put this over here. Let me show you. There was a great interview with Tucker Carlson and he was talking to the head of Telegram and where they came from and everything else. And I was just, it was a good hour-long show, and you can listen to it. I'll try to find it at some point. But when I took a look at the price of TON, which is, essentially the Telegram token, did you know that TON has blown past its all-time high? This was in end of 2021, 2022. I think it was 435 was the all-time high. And then just a couple of weeks ago, blew right past it. Now it's over like around $7. I wonder what it is right now. But there was a question here. Oh, this is from Matthew Lake. And he says, hey, isn't that the coin which has 100 holders holding over 90% of the supply? And when I saw that, I'm like, probably. That sounds like par for the course for crypto. But there's a great website belonged to Into the Block. And you can see just how concentrated everything actually is. And if we take a look at it, whoa, that 34% of the total tokens of TON are in the hands of 14 people, 14 wallets, we'll say. And that could be an exchange. That could be some type of liquidity pool. And that could also be individuals. It's very true. And then if we take a look at investors, and of course, that's just a lower number, around 31%, 125 wallets. And if we take a look at retail, that's 33%. So actually, if we take a look at it, it's a third. There's a whales, investors, and retail, which, of course, it's not in the hands of just a few people. I mean, the whales, yeah, you got me. But the one thing that was interesting to me was the historical concentration. And on August 21st, it was 98%. 98% were whales. That's who owned TON. So even though like people say, wow, it's BC coin, they're dumping and da-da-da. Even though they're dumping, I think it's a controlled release because they're past their all-time highs. They're almost double their all-time highs. And they went from 98% to 33%. I gotta tell you, maybe something to look at. Just saying. There's always a story behind the story. Tourist is here. Oh, it's okay. There it is. See, this is the first one. Welcome, DS. Yes, it has arrived. So my name is Rob, but Dan is short for Digital Asset News. You can call me either one. It really doesn't matter. That's a ton of gains. Da-da-da. That's pretty funny. Taha says, what do you think of Gala? Is it going to go any higher? Probably do well in the bull run. I'm not for sure. Not a big fan of how they treated some of my friends, but yeah, we're here for profits, right? Let's see. What else we got? It's funny. Exactly. Your birthday having day, dash of salt. Yes. Soul Chat is the biggest scam coin. We're going to find out. And look, everything happens. Everything gets corroded and gets exposed right after the peak of the bull run. As soon as we start to get into the bear market, you'll see which of those projects that everybody says was the greatest thing of all time and what trash it actually was. We discovered that with Luna. You discovered that actually with BitConnect. That was the last cycle. You discovered that with Voyager. You discovered that with Celsius. Although Voyager just made stupid choices. Celsius made them even worse, and they were essentially a Ponzi scheme at the end. Also with BlockFi and FTX, Three Arrows Capital, and everything in between. If the businesses and projects that got through that, the last bear market, I think are doing pretty good. It's the ones you have to worry about that are emerging now. That's why, like, the people that I've aligned myself with, like with CoinLedger, crypto tax software, no problems there. Tangem, since 2018, zero hacks. iTRUST with Roth IRA, no problems whatsoever. I mean, you'll have some people that are like, hey, I didn't hear anything back and I'm trying to move this and that, what the hell's going on? But besides that, they get answered every day. And, Ben's website in the Cryptoverse. I mean, these are the things that I use all the time. They've made it all the way through this crappy bear market. So pay attention to the ones that make it, that build in the bear, because they'll crush it in the bull, as they say. ADA is a clear dead chain. I don't know. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to have Josh and Rob on from Cornucopias. They were supposed to be on today, but I think it was Josh. Josh got sick with the flu. I had the flu last week, so we're going to do it for next Friday. And they started on Cardano, and they went multi-chain, and they're now on Base, and I think another different crypto, a different project. But I personally believe that the future is really going to be multi-chain, and it's just going to be what's the best one. Like Cardano, let's be honest, it's super decentralized. You know, we're a stake pool operator. There's a link in the description. You can check it out. And it's always up. It's never gone down. And of course, people will say, well, that's because nobody uses it. It's still secure, still pretty good. And again, as far as like staking, they knocked it out of the park. They crushed it. They did it so well. You control your keys. It stays in your actual wallet. It doesn't get moved around. I don't have access to it as a stake pool operator. It's fantastic. There's no slashing. There's no jailing. It's just that if something happens, you don't get paid rewards, unlike Ethereum. So I see something like Cardano being, you know, a secure blockchain, but other different chains around it that can help out with speed, and they can all come together. And of course, not all of them, let's be honest, but I still think it's a multi-chain world. And that's why, like Ilya from Near Protocol, he's going to be on again in May, and we're going to talk about chain abstraction and how they're doing things and having it, you know, working with all these different chains under the hood. And that would be awesome, right? Then we can all stop fighting. Just go, hey, you won? I won too. Great. People love to hate ADA. People love to hate Solana. People love to hate XRP. People love to hate layer 2s. And of course, Bitcoin maxis love to hate everything. And precious metal people, not all people, just a couple morons, they love to hate on Bitcoin. So it's just a nice cycle, nice circle of hatred. Oh, Andresh says, how is Sweat as your initial investment on Sweatcoin? So Sweatcoin, I thought was going to do great. Unfortunately, it's a stable coin. So I bought it at $0.015. Right now, I think it's around $0.01, maybe even lower. So my initial investment is down. Hey, you don't win them all. If you'd like to see all the different risky plays that I've done, which I've done quite a bit, first of all, there's two things. We have our secondary channel, Degen. That's where, like, you know, you can invest and you can either, you know, make a lot of money or lose everything. One of those two things will happen. And you can see over here in the links in the description, it's called the 5% Degen plays. And this is what I've invested into in risky and evaluated all the way from 2021 to 2024. And one of the best ones I did was Genso Kishi. It was an online platform game. It was big on Nintendo and also, I believe, PlayStation. And they went into a metaverse online Web3, one of the first Web3 games that was out there. Initial investment was $5,000. Purchase price was 0.015 for the tokens because we got on a launch pad. And at the all-time high, it was worth $500,000. It's not too bad, right? Now it's only worth like $13,000. But again, actually, I have to update that. It's probably worth a little bit more. But yeah, that's what it is. Everdome, you know, we put in 1,000 and all-time high was worth 16,000. It's not too bad. Now it's not worth as much. Fame MMA did great in the beginning, 1,000. The all-time high was 47,000. Now it's worth $90. Sucks. And then Sweatcoin, I put in 25,000. At the all-time high was 157,000. And then of course the investment now is worth only 22. Actually, it's probably lower. It's not too bad. And then the other ones I got in Farcana, IvanPay, Export, Alvara, Minutes Network, Aether, Rainmaker, Katamoto, IO.net. And you can find the links to all the videos right there, what I talk about. So to answer your question, not so great on that one, but some other ones I'm okay. And, you know, that's why I diversify. That's all. Just trying to keep it honest and open. I don't crush it every time. Osman says, just have a question. I'm in Canada and lots of apps don't work unless using VPN. Which app is safe and good to buy stocks? I have no idea. On that one, Canada, you guys confuse me. Oh, Canada. If anybody has something for this gentleman, put it in the comments section. Ooh. Ooh, another question. What do you think about Bonk? First of all, I think Bonk, and I said this, you can check the timeline of X. I thought Bonk was going to be a top 100 token when it was like in the 200 to 300s, and it did. And then I think, I don't know where it's at now. Let's take a look. Bonk is a meme coin on Solana, and I own some. I had a good amount, we'll say. So take this with a grain of salt because I am super biased. But I will say, let me show you here. Bonk. B-O-N-K. Ooh, it's up 2%. It's barely hanging on, 92. In 1 year, it's up 1,600%. It's not bad. 3 months, yeah, pretty good. But there was a, from the Bonk DAO, let me show you. The Bonk DAO has received a proposal to burn 280 billion Bonk from its treasury, representing 100% of the Bonk sent the DAO from Bonk bot since launch. So if that happens, just wait for Bonk to really go crazy. But again, who knows? Good question. Have you ever been fished? Many times. I mean, I've attempted fishing. There's a link, and actually, if you go to my X account, there's a video from November 20, 2021 that I have pinned to the top of my account. And I talk about how I didn't get fished, but people like this, Ryan says, Rod, can we chant either you or someone impersonating you just took money from our crypto project and ran off? And I say, you're not my first, probably somebody. And this guy said the same thing. So what people would do is they would fish, they would do a spoof of my email, reach out to projects, and then they would say, hey, I'm Digital Asset News or Rob, and pay me $10,000 and I'll talk about your project on my show. And like, it was like 10 or 20 different people, and it keeps happening. So yeah, so I've been fished. I mean, people, I mean, they try all the time. You know, you take a look at the email and it says from Coinbase, and you click on Coinbase and it says at xyz.scam.nonsense.io. And you're like, well, that's just phishing. So yeah. Monreal Powell, no. Mexi, I don't even know if I can use that here in Puerto Rico. Not for sure. What about Dogecoin? What about Dogecoin? You know, for everybody that gives Dogecoin a real hard time, I want to remind you, do you guys know how long Dogecoin's been around? I'll let you just answer that. Like, how long do you think Dogecoin's been around? A couple of years. Yeah, Robert, check this out. Dogecoin, it was created on December 6th, 2013. It's been the top 31 crypto for 10 plus years. It's a fork of Lucky Coin, which is a fork of Litecoin, which is a fork of Bitcoin. And as we go through this, look at this. It was number 16th in 2014. In 2015, it was 9th. 2016, it was 6th. 2017, 14th. Then it kind of fell out of favor for 2018, 19, and 2020. 2021, they moved back in the top 10. 2022, 12. 2023, it's ranked 8th. And 29th of February, it's ranked 10th again. I don't know what it is right now, but I know people like talk about it and they're like, oh, that's ridiculous. This is worthless. Think of your token. Has it been around a decade? That's a long time. That's a long time. That's pretty good. Exactly. Glad you asked, Mario. I own a bunch of Doge. Probably go, who knows if it'll go up again. Oh, wow. Robert says I mined it back when it was first released. That's a long time, man. You've been around longer than me. Yeah, not 5 years, 17, no. Sean says, Rob, why do people continue to ask you about specific coins? It's painful. Obviously, you do your work to prepare your videos and don't have time to respond to these noobs. No. You guys can ask whatever question you want to. And like some of these tokens, like I know, like Bonk and Dogecoin and histories like that. But the newer stuff, it's kind of tricky because, you know, there's only like 8,000 cryptos out there. Very hard to keep up. But I try. Thoughts on Jasmy Coin? Massive run up. And it's doing quite well. When we had that last dip, I think it was one of the few that actually did pretty well. That one in core. Cage says, sorry, just joined, having not pumping much, delayed surge. Yeah, look, we went over that yesterday. And it's kind of like depends on the actual year. And of course, everybody talks about like the last one in 2020. We talked about this, you know, in March. Of course, we had the coronavirus. We had a big drop. And I think it was around $3,000, and we rallied into $7,000, $8,000, and it, you know, took a little sideways and then it went up. So that was 2020. 2016, kind of, you know, a little bit of a dip, came out, went up. But I just think on this one, I mean, we have rallied so hard and so high with the Bitcoin ETFs. I don't really see how, you know, the liquidity is going to flow into it. And right now, if you take a look at the ETFs, I think there was more of an outflow with Grayscale, which is going to happen. And then I think there was a slowdown with IBIT, with BlackRock. So if these things keep happening, well, first of all, these things keep happening with Grayscale, they're going to run out of the outflows at some point. But that's going to take some time. So some people will say it's a month, some people will say it's 3 months. We'll see, because no one, I mean, you can take an average of it, right? But I mean, in all honesty, it could take some time. And then, of course, when that happens, there's no more outflows. There's just inflows. That's what we're talking about. Pixel, any thoughts? First of all, if you want to learn about Pixel and how great it's going to be, just watch Keggy. He's really great on that stuff. And he's a big, huge believer in Pixel. I think it's going to be great. I mean, the game itself, Pixels, of course, from the same team that did Axie Infinity. And I like them because they're the ones that figured out, you know, play to earn and what not to do. And like I said, pay attention to the ones that build in the bear market. And those guys really got kicked in the teeth, and they figured it out with Pixels. And that's why there's so many daily average users, and it's doing really well. Is that the end all be all? Yeah, I don't think it's the end all be all, but I think it's a good one to invest into, and I hold it. But I hold like 80 different cryptos, so don't be like, Rob's all in on Pixel. No. Bitcoin sidechains, Core. It's one of my favorite. And there's another one. There's another one that I'm going to be doing a deep dive into. And it is Velar, V-E-L-A-R, Bitcoin Layer 2. It's an automated liquidity protocol. You can do swap, liquidity pool, staking, farming, and an ideal launchpad on Bitcoin, secured by Bitcoin. I'm telling you, between that and then the runes, which are the ordinals essentially, and those coming out, I don't see how Bitcoin dominance doesn't go up above 60%. Because people will really say, hey, that's the most trusted, validated, battle-tested, computerized network on the entire planet. And it's the most secure. So let's just build on that. It's funny. I can't put that up. That's pretty good. Rob talks reality. Dan, Bitcoin is down. Why aren't you buying more to pump the price? Hey, man, I think we've all done our job, right? We've all been there. We've all done as much buying as we possibly can. I'm telling you, like, I'm just going to dynamic DCA from here. You know, Ben always talks about this, and he's like, he only buys from 0.1 to 0.4, and he does absolutely nothing until 0.8 to 0.9. Should have just done that. That was funny. James at Invest Answers. Good guy. I just texted him a couple days ago. Yeah. Talk about it. I mean, he went deep in the Solana ecosystem. It's good. Let's see. I don't really buy any more Gala. I had it for a bit, and I still have some. That's only because it's stuck on Coinbase. It's version 1. Robert, welcome to Bitcoin Maxiland. You're safe. Yeah. The big question is, are the Bitcoin maximalists going to actually accept these layer 2s, side chains, and runes? Which, again, check out that video, links in the description on what are runes, what are UTXOs, what are ordinals. It's like 5 minutes long. And tell me what you think. Because I mean, if it's the whole issue with the Bitcoin community is they hate the fact that ordinals came in and it skyrocketed the price for transactional cost, and it made Bitcoin essentially almost unusable because it was taking too long for the transactions to actually go through. Now with runes, they figured out a way, watch the video, how to eliminate or vastly decrease that. But we'll see, because runes actually are going to go live, which essentially are fungible tokens, after, well, in 4 hours. So we'll see how that works out. I personally bought a rune stone because I'm a gambler. We'll see how that works out. Yes. Are we still DCing in alts? So this is the thing I didn't talk about. So like I'm still going to DC into alts, but remember we took a look at, it's not, I don't think it's the top 20 alts that are going to be in the top 20 in say 2025. Not all of them. I mean, you're going to have your Bitcoins, you're going to have your Ethereums, you're going to have your chain links. That's true. Probably your Solanas, Avalanche, Cardano, who knows? But I think that we're in this Goldilocks era, which is right around the halving, a couple months before, a couple months after, when something's going to be launched we don't really know about, and it's going to be massive. And that's why over on Degen, that's why I'm doing more videos over there, because I'm investing in these early projects. And there's 2 videos I'd like you to see. Let's see. That's not it. Here it is. Well, here's one of them anyhow. So there's this one I talked about, stress-free profits, and how to take money off the table. And there's another one called 80% when I'm selling my crypto. They're linked in the description below. But for those ones, these new ones I'm getting into, and there's more new ones. If let's say that I spend $100 and it launches and it doubles in price, well, I just take half off. And then as it doubles again, I take another half. And I just to keep working with the house money. Because and we talked about this in the video, if you would have done that with Ethereum and Avalanche and Solana, you'd be a multi-millionaire just doing that same thing, just waiting for them to run. That's it. So yeah. Who's this loser? Tom Crown. Tom Crown, everybody's favorite TA specialist. What's up, buddy? Hey, congratulations to Tom. He made 100,000 subscribers after grinding away, and he does a great show. And he interacts with the crowd like we do here, and he gets people involved, and it's great stuff. What are you gonna do tonight, Tom? You gonna do a live stream? I'll stop by. I'll be there all night with Ren Panda Pies here. Does everybody love Tom Crown? Let the F-boys in. Yeah, exactly. To be fair, Tom always does put that on his Twitter account. I used to be an F-boy and now I'm a this. Oh, look at that. I belong to Tom's first 100 followers. Holy smokes. Here's a question for everybody. Who's Bitcoin halving streamer are you guys going to be stopping by and watching? Tell me that in the comment section, because I'll probably stop by myself. Who's got a good one coming up? On topic with the Prez. I was one of his last subs. Very nice. Sexy in those shades. I love the crown of Tom. Sweet. True. I don't know if that's true. Tone Vase. Man, I haven't heard about him in a long time. He's one of the first guys I was watching. Him and Andreas Antonopoulos, who just put out a really great video a couple days ago. Yeah. These are the epic or the rare sats or whatever the enchant, whatever they call them now. The ones that are going to be the next big ordinal, millions and millions of dollars. Oh, be good. Probably get drunk and ape into Moo Moo. Yeah, me too. Let's see. 300 billion into Bitcoin in 2 months. I hope you're right. Yeah, how much time do we have? Hey. 4 hours. Crypto banter may stream, not sure. Pretty sure. They do a lot of that. Downside for a few weeks. Thoughts on Brett? This will be the base. You're talking about the meme coins on base? Probably do great. Soul undervalued? Probably. Isn't everything undervalued if you own it? That's how I always see it. I own this. Why isn't it $10 million a token? What's your age, Dan? 72. All right, cool. I'll stop by Tom's. Let's all stop by Tom's live stream. When are you going to start, Tom? Like 3 hours, 4 hours? Or are you going to do like a marathon? Cookie asks, is it easy to open a bank account in Puerto Rico when you live in Belgium and you have no residence in Puerto Rico? You have to live here. So that's a thing. And then I'd recommend, there's a couple different banks. There's First Bank, there's Oriental, and there's a couple other ones. So yeah. Yamal says, Rob, you talk about DCA was great, never saw it that way. Yeah, like even me, I didn't really see it that way until I put it together. I was like, I really should be dynamic DCAing. That would be the best thing. just another poor Canuck in Canada. What's the opposite of a tax haven? Canada, pretty much. All right. Oh, and Miss Cream Tipper. All right, buddy. So look, yeah, don't do Banco Popular. It's a different one. All right, buddy. So that's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. Don't forget to stop by Tom Crown's live stream, and then maybe we'll go to Randy Hippers or something like that. But that'll be in like 3 or 4 hours, right, Tom? And then we'll stop by, see what we're doing. But that's it. Thanks so much, everybody. I appreciate you guys. And again, all the links for things we just talked about. Remember Ben's site, that discount goes away after the halving. The Tangem is up. Please protect your crypto. Do not leave it on exchanges. And then the video, and then of course, Tony's book is out for 18 bucks on Amazon, which I ordered myself. That's it. Thanks so much, everybody. Appreciate it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Adios.